for convening the 66th Wyoming legislature has arrived, and I ask the senators to please be in order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And so if you want to remain standing or you may sit, I would now ask Senator Steinmetz to give us the invocation. Senator Steinmetz, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I would ask you all to bow your heads and join me in the Lord's Prayer if you would like to join along. Let's begin. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Thank you, Senator Steinmetz.
Senator Perkins?
Yes, Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
President Perkins, I move Ellen Thompson be appointed temporary Chief Clerk of the Senate.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please raise your hand towards the screen. I see no opposed, but are there any opposed? There appears to be, I see no opposed. The motion is carried. The Chief Clerk, will you, congratulations again, Madam Chief Clerk. We're always glad to have you. We appreciate your expertise. Would you please, Madam Chief Clerk, call the roll of the Senate?
Senate roll call for Tuesday, January 12th, 2021. Senator Baldwin.
Senator Baldwin's here.
Senator Beitman.
Here.
Senator Boner.
Here.
Senator Bouchard.
Here.
Senator Case.
Present.
Cooper.
Here.
Driscoll.
Here.
Ellis.
Here.
French.
Here.
Furphy.
Here.
Guru.
Here.
Hicks.
Here.
Hutchings.
Madam Chief Clerk, she is unable to get her volume on. She is here.
We see she is present on the floor at the Capitol, so she is here.
Okay, thank you. James.
Here.
Kinski.
Here.
Here.
Cole.
Madam Chief Clerk, he is here. He's unable to connect to the internet right now.
Thank you. Cole present. Cost.
Present.
Landon.
Here.
McEwen.
Here.
Nethercott.
Here.
Pappas. Perkins.
Present.
Rothfuss.
Here.
Salazar. Salazar present. Schuler.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Steinmetz. Wasserberger.
Here.
Anderson.
Brian.
Absent.
And excused.
And Dockstetter.
Can you Would you mind letting your volume go outside your speaker? Would that?
29 senators present, 1 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. In accordance with Article 3, Section 10 of the Wyoming Constitution, the following members were appointed to serve on the Credentials Subcommittee: Senator Larry Hicks, Chairman; Senators Ogden Driscoll, Cale Case, and Bo Beitman. The chair recognizes Senator Hicks. Will you please read the report of the Committee on Credentials?
Senator Perkins.
Senator
The Committee
Hicks.
on Credentials has met and respectfully reports back that the following named persons shown by the certificates of the Secretary of State are duly elected members of the Senate of the 66th Legislature of the state of Wyoming for a 4-year term beginning the first Monday in January 2021 AD.
Would the Chief Clerk please read the names of the newly elected senators?
Senate District 2, Senator Brian Boner. Senate District 4, Senator Tara Nethercott. Senate District 6, Senator Anthony Bouchard. Senate District 8, Senator Affie Ellis. Senate District 10, Senator Dan Furphy. Senate District 12, Senator John Cole. Senate District 14, Senator Fred Baldwin. Senate District 16, Senator Dan Dockstetter. Senate District 18, Senator Tim French. Senate District 20, Senator Ed Cooper. Senate District 22, Senator Dave Kinski. Senate District 24, Senator Troy McEwen. Senate District 26, Senator Tim Salazar. Senate District 28, Senator James Anderson. And Senate District 30, Senator Charles Scott.
Thank you. I move that the report of the credential of the Committee on Credentials be adopted. Fine, Senator Hicks. Excuse me, Senator Hicks. Senator Hicks, are you on mute?
Senator Perkins, can you hear me? All right, Senator Perkins.
Senator,
I move the
there I can
report
now. Go
of
ahead,
the
Senator
Committee on
Hicks.
Credentials be adopted and the committee be discharged.
You've heard the motion. All in favor, please raise your hand. Yep.
IC 24.
Madam Clerk, we may need to take a roll call on this. Okay, that's UC 24. I'll thank you.
Did you want a roll call, Mr. President?
Those opposed, please raise your hands. Well, let me.
Madam Clerk, I'm an I vote. Can she get it? Come on, how come I'm just seeing her? I don't want to just see her, I want to see everybody. What lyrics just said? Oh, can you see everything? You got it? Okay.
Majority Leader Driscoll, it appears as though Senator Perkins is having some difficulties. Perhaps you could again call for the vote on the credentials motion.
So we're voting on the credentials.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. I would ask for a roll call vote. Or do you want hands or roll call? I would ask for a roll call vote on the credentials report while we're working.
Okay. Senator Anderson is absent. Senator Baldwin.
Aye.
Beitman.
Aye.
Boner.
Aye.
Bouchard. Bouchard. Case.
Aye.
Cooper.
Aye.
Driscoll.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
French.
Aye.
Purpey.
Aye.
Guru.
Aye.
Hicks.
Aye.
Hutchings.
Aye.
James.
Aye.
Kinski.
Aye.
Kolb. Cost.
Aye.
Landon.
Aye.
McCowan. Nethercott.
Aye.
Pappas.
Aye.
Perkins. Perkins.
Aye.
Rothfuss.
Aye.
Salazar.
Aye.
Schuler.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Steinmetz.
Aye.
Wasserberger.
Aye.
And Dockstader.
Aye.
I have 29 ayes, 1 absent.
President Perkins, are you back on? You've heard the motion. The motion carried. Welcome to all new and returning members. We're now at the nomination and election of Senate officers. The election of permanent officers of the Senate will be our next order of business. Ladies and gentlemen, motions are now in order for the nomination of President of the Senate.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Vice President.
We are here at the nominations are now in order for the President of the Senate. President Perkins, I stepped in.
It's a coup.
We're at nominations. We're ready to nominate for the President of the Senate, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
You're muted, Mr. President. I would second you if you weren't.
I think we're going to be fine now. I just got hardwired instead of going over to the Wi-Fi. So
Welcome
with
back.
that, thank you. If I may have, I'd like to make a nomination, and I would nominate for the office of the Senate President, Senator Don Dockstader of Senate District number 16. Senator Dockstader and I were elected to the legislature in the same year. He to the House, me to the Senate. I've known Senator Dockstader since then. His service is exemplary, and he leads by example, not just by words. He leads by deed. And with that, that's my motion. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
I second the nomination of Senator Dan Dockstader and move that his election is made unanimous, dispensing with the roll call vote.
It has been moved and seconded that Senator Dockstader be unanimously elected President of the State Senate of the 66th Legislature of Wyoming, and we dispense with the roll call. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Motion is passed. By your vote, Senator Dan Dockstader has been elected President of the Senate. Sergeant at Arms Morrison, will you please let the Honorable Chief Justice Davis know that his presence is requested in the Senate chamber to administer the oath of office to the newly elected Senate officers. President Dockstader, will you please come forward to take the oath of office? Your gavel, Mr. President.
You're on mute, Mr. President. You're on mute.
Chief Justice Davis, we need you just a little longer while we elect the Vice President of this body. Ladies and gentlemen, motions are now in order for the nomination of the Vice President.
Mr. President.
Senator Kinski.
Mr. President, I place in nomination the name of Senator Larry Hicks of Senate District 11 for Vice President. Mr. President, Senator Hicks is known as one of the hardest working members of this Senate. He's also known as somebody who has very clear views about his political convictions, yet nonetheless, he always listens and listens carefully to the concerns of his constituents and to his fellow senators. Senator Hicks is known for something else, which is the consideration that he extends to other senators, particularly new senators, and helping them to understand the ropes of the sometimes arcane rules of the Senate. And for that, I am happy and proud to place his name in nomination for Vice President.
Mr. President, I second the nomination of Senator Hicks and move that the election of Senator Hicks is made unanimous, dispensing with the roll call vote.
It has been moved and seconded that Senator Hicks be unanimously elected Vice President of the State Senate of the 66th Legislature of Wyoming, and we dispense with the roll call. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. On the opposed, please raise your hand. Motion is passed. By unanimous vote of the Senate, Senator Larry Hicks has been elected Vice President of the Senate. Please come forward to take your oath of office.
I, Larry Hicks, do solemnly swear or affirm. Solemnly swear and affirm. That I will support, obey, and defend. I will support, obey, and defend. The Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Wyoming. The Constitution of the State of Wyoming. That I have not knowingly violated any law. I have not knowingly violated any law. Related to my election. Related to my election. Or caused it to be done by others. Or cause it to be done by others. And that I will discharge the duties of my office. I will discharge the duties of my office. With fidelity. With fidelity. Congratulations.
Go, Larry. Congrats. Mr. President,
Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
would you like to say a few words? You skipped over your speech.
Thank you.
I would like to hear it, please.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your patience while we work all of this out. For those of you here, those of you joining across this wonderful state. When I spoke to you, the Majority Caucus on Sunday, I called on the members of the Senate to use their skills, talents, and abilities to help guide the state through a difficult time. I emphasize those same points today, however, this time in this legislative session that we now have open. Again, I call on you to do the same. This time I'm adding that you use your God-given skills, talents, and abilities and gifts to help guide this state through perhaps one of the most difficult times in history and press forward in success. Please use what you have been blessed with to help build your state in a positive manner. I say to you, there is much we can be doing as senators, individuals, families, neighborhoods, and communities to make Wyoming a better place to call home. I say this, we are moving into a time when we need to be more self-sustaining as individuals and as a society. Please remember the people who settled this great state and guided it through the early years. They were all of that, self-sustaining. It was up to them to plow the land and dig the resources out of the ground. Again, self-sustaining. My great-grandparents were some of those early Wyoming residents. My grandfather worked in a dangerous coal mine of the time. My grandmother ran a boarding house for the coal miners in Diamondville, and now the abandoned town of Sublette. They were among those early Wyoming residents who were self-sustaining. Through those coal mining years, they lost a 2-year-old daughter to a disease. Family tells the story of how this little girl could recognize her father, even with the coal dust all over his face, as we walked from the mine to the house, as he walked from the mine to the house. That hardworking family and people like them are who made this state great. We now see some changes on the horizon, and those changes come at a time when it is disrupted by illness. I've seen what it has done in my own family, among my friends, even with our colleagues in the House and the Senate. Most survived, some did not. I served as a caregiver in one instance, and in another instance, offered condolences to another family. All of this is difficult, but I anticipate that in not the too distant future, we will have all of this behind us. Through it all, however, I would hope we will press forward, keeping the faith, not forgetting to offer prayer of gratitude, knowing that we still have much to be grateful for. I love my Wyoming home. Both my occupation and public service take me across this state and to the four corners of the state many times. In those travels, I often stop places like the Bighorns, the High Plains, South Central Wyoming, or the rugged Rockies of the West. And I offer a prayer of gratitude to God that I can call Wyoming my home. Excuse me. I had hoped to have my wife, Kim, of 39 years, with me today, along with our 4 children, Aaron, Kaylin, Keaton, Megan, Aaron, Kaylin, Keaton, and the 13 grandchildren. I love them all dearly, but the time was not right. And there will be another time to get a picture around the president's chair. To the members of the Senate, I care for you personally. I'm concerned for your success, and I'm concerned for the well-being of your families and your businesses all across the state. Thank you for this incredible honor, allowing me to serve with you as your president. Thank you, Mr. Majority President. Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader.
Mr. President.
We have Vice President Hicks address.
Mr. President, I'd like to share with you and members of this body a few thoughts about the upcoming session and our role and how we will play that. But prior to that, I'd like to share with you a couple of proverbs from the Bible that I have found that have served me well in the Wyoming legislature. When pride comes, then comes dishonor. But with humility comes wisdom. Proverb 4, get wisdom, get understanding. Forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding. Members of the 66th Senate, I have set with your leadership team that you've newly elected, and we've established 7 principles that we would like for you to consider. First and foremost, that we set aside our differences and that we work to those things, that we work together on those things that advance and protect our state, that we can disagree, but we shall not be disagreeable. On all issues, you deal with them with a level of decorum and professionalism befitting the title of senator. You do not have to like a member of the legislature, but you must respect the position that they hold. Recognize that we are all here for the same reason, the best interest of our state. Also, recognize that there are many paths to the same destination, and arriving there at that destination is what matters most. We are the upper chamber, and our expectation is that you will fulfill the responsibility of your office as a senator in the Wyoming State Legislature with fidelity, integrity, honesty, decorum, and respect. And on a lighter note, Mr. President and my fellow senators, I'd like to share with you a quote from Mark Twain that has served me well in my time in the Wyoming legislature. Do not let your schooling get in the way of your education. God bless Wyoming, and God bless America.
Thank you, Chief Justice Davis. Thank you for being here today and helping us start the 66th session of the legislature. In addition, the Senate appreciates the extra efforts of the judicial branch in accommodating our members past 10 days for multiple swearing-in ceremonies. Chief Justice, you've been wonderful to come over here several times. Thank you for joining us each and every time. Thank you.
All rise.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce your Majority Floor Leader, Senator Arvin Driscoll. Mr. Majority Floor Leader, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. President. Congratulations on your election, richly deserved. Congratulations are also due to newly elected Vice President Hicks. We began this journey together many moons ago. I would like to give special recognition to my wife of 39 years, Roseanne, and to my children, Andrea, Terry, and Lincoln, without whom I couldn't be here today. Congratulations in order for all of our newly elected senators. A huge thanks to each of you for your commitment to devote your lives to making Wyoming the greatest state in the nation. Hats off to your families for the support to you and your service. It's great to be back at the Capitol, the People's House. It's great to see the gallery packed with those who chose to be a part of and influence the process. As often as heard, if only these walls could talk, has never been more true than in Wyoming's capital. From these walls spring our Constitution, early meetings of the Supreme Court, and of course the Wyoming legislature. From the grandeur of the building to the portraits of the former governors, legislators, and leaders, there is a rich history and a legacy. Let the past speak to us as we strive to have an even better future. Wyoming's an incredible place, with its breathtaking scenery to its unparalleled open spaces and wildlife, coupled with our unmatched mineral wealth. It seems Wyoming has it all, but its unspoken treasure is its citizens. We have a rich past and an even richer future in front of us. Thanks to each of you for trusting me and enabling me to serve as Majority Floor Leader of the 66th Wyoming Senate. I'll do my best to help make our body efficient. Our guiding document, our Constitution, will be the standard which guides us in our journey going forward. My promise to you is to help enable each of you to be able to achieve your dreams to shape Wyoming going forward. With God and the Wyoming Constitution, we have a set of principles to guide us in making great decisions. In this time of pandemic and uncertainty, one thing is certain: Wyoming will survive and thrive. From its beginnings as an untamed wilderness to where we are today, Wyoming stands tall at retaining its unbridled spirit. Challenges strengthen and lift societies and men. Every session is critical, as is every day of our lives. Let's all make the most of what we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. President, I move the following named persons be placed in nomination as employees of the Senate and they be voted on collectively.
Before you do that, Mr. Majority Floor Leader, I'd like to introduce Minority Floor Leader Senator Chris.
Excuse me, my apologies, Mr. Minority Floor Leader.
Mr. Minority Floor Leader, Senator Rothfuss, would you like to address us today?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would, and I appreciate the opportunity. President Dockstader, Vice President Hicks, Majority Leader Driscoll, and senators of the 66th Wyoming Legislature, it's an honor to once again serve as your Minority Floor Leader. Opening day has always been one of my favorite days in the legislature for the past decade. It's incredible to have the opportunity to get back together with my friends and colleagues, to have the excitement and optimism that we share. We don't have quite the same circumstance this year, obviously. It's unfortunate that we can't all be in the chamber today and reflect on our years, spend time together, laugh, share memories. But obviously we're in a unique situation today where we've got the opportunity to begin our recovery from the pandemic. We've had members that have suffered from the pandemic and still are suffering. We've got challenges at the national level, and we've got a lot ahead of us. But our role in the Wyoming legislature, I think, as we all know, is to focus on the business of the people of the state of Wyoming. And our legislature has a history of rising above the din of noise and discord and focusing on the work at hand, the work that we need to get done, the challenges in front of us. We've been fortunate in the past, certainly, to have the strength of incredible legislators. We thank outgoing President Perkins for his leadership over the past 2 years. I appreciate working with him. I've enjoyed working with him. Thank him for all of the time and work together that we've had. It's always been positive and always enjoyable. And look forward to working with you again in the years ahead. And we'll miss some of our legislators that have been that have departed the chamber. Senator Hank Coe comes to mind. I just want to take a moment of my speech to thank him for his mentorship over the years and his guidance, his friendship, his leadership. Former president of the Wyoming Senate and done remarkable things for all of us. Architect of Wyoming's education system that we all cherish. I also want to thank and welcome the new members of the legislature coming in and offering service to the state. Senator Cooper. It's been a number of years since we've had a Senator Cooper. Look forward to having another one. Welcome. Senator French, Senator Kolb, Senator McKeown, and Senator Salazar coming down the hall. We appreciate having you. Hope you'll enjoy your time in the Senate as much as you did and your hard work over in the House. You know, it's an honor to work with each of you, and I look forward to getting to know each of you and learning more about your families, about your lives, about your history, about what you're passionate about, and working with you on each of those topics and trying to build a better Wyoming. You know, Pete Simpson used to welcome, former Senator Pete Simpson used to welcome new legislators when we joined. And I remember it well when I served my first year, having Pete come in and talking to us about the legacy and history of the Wyoming legislature as an institution, and the fact that there have been less than 1,000 senators in the history of our state. So as you join us, I think it's important to recognize the legacy and the fact that you're standing on the shoulders of giants and senators before, that we are stewards of these legislative seats, and that we have an obligation to do what's in the best interest of the constituents and the people of Wyoming, work hard in our roles, and then at some point in the future, obviously, we'll move on and let the next generation come forward and do the same thing. The most important thing that I see really ahead of us is establishment of a vision for the state of Wyoming and an understanding of the direction that we want to move in, and then working together as we establish that vision, and then towards that vision as a state, recognizing that we really do have challenges ahead of us right now. These challenges won't be easy to overcome. We know that we have declining revenue. We know that we have programs that we need to sustain. We know that we have changing times. And it's going to take all of us to work together towards that future. But I think we're up to the challenge. This is an institution that has always risen to the challenge. And I'm reminded, as I think of these challenges, of a visit by late President Theodore Roosevelt to Laramie back in 1903, May 30th. He spent some time here with us, long before my time, but his words ring as true today as they did then. And he noted that the cloistered virtue that sits at home, especially if it takes its virtue out in bemoaning how bad other people are, never yet helped a man or helped a nation. What you need in addition to decency and morality is the spirit that makes a man able to hold his own among men, the spirit of courage, of hardihood, of energy, of resolution, the spirit that dares, that endures, that does, the spirit that recognizes in an obstacle not something from which to flinch, but something to overcome, something which could be made a stepping stone to triumph. I think we're facing a time where we have to look to those stepping stones, and we have to do, to overcome, to endure. And that's going to take all of us working together to build yes votes, all of us contemplating the challenges ahead, all of us building rather than breaking down. And Mr. President, I look forward to working with you, Majority Party, member of the minority party, everyone in both chambers to achieve those objectives. Mr. President, let's get to work. Look forward to spending time with you in the years ahead and working with you on these objectives.
Mr. President, I move
Yes.
the following named persons.
I just wanted to thank our floor leader, Mr. Minority Floor Leader Chris Rothfuss. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. President, I move the following named persons be placed in nomination as employees of the Senate and they be voted on collectively.
Chief Clerk will read the names of the employees and their respective positions.
Ellen Thompson, Chief Clerk. Judy Parks, Staff Supervisor. Dick Morrison, Sergeant at Arms.
You've heard the motion. The persons on the list just read be made the employees of the Senate. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Those opposed? Motion is carried. Before moving to the next order of business, I would like to announce that the Senate will take a planned recess at 1:50 to listen to a message from His Excellency Governor Mark Gordon. We'll proceed with the adopting of the rules. We are at that order of business, amending and adoption of rules. Mr. Majority Floor Leader, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the permanent Senate and joint rules of the 65th Legislature be adopted as the temporary rules of the Senate and joint rules of the 66th Legislature of the state of Wyoming.
You've heard the motion. A simple majority vote is required for the adoption of the motion. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Those opposed? Thank you. Motion is carried. Mr. Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Joint Resolution 001 proposing the temporary Senate and joint rules of the 66th Wyoming State Legislature be amended by repealing Joint Rule 23 and recreating it 2021 general session applicable to this general session.
Thank you. The Chief Clerk will read the proposed amendment.
Joint Rule 0001, 2021 General Session, Joint Rule 23.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Now for discussion on the amendment, I will ask Vice President Hicks of the Rules Committee to respond to questions. Is there discussion? No further discussion. If I'm missing anybody, I have to jump back and forth between screens. Simple majority vote is required for adoption of the motion. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Those opposed? Chief Clerk will note. Thank you. By your vote,
There were 5 opposed, Mr. President.
thank you. Yeah, announce that yes, if you, yeah, okay, thank you. By your vote, Amendment Joint Rule 1 to the Joint Rules of Repealing, Creating 23-1 has been adopted by the Senate. Joint Rule 1 is contingent on the identical adoption by the House to be in effect. Thank you. We'll now move to standing committee appointments. Standing committee appointments have been made. Chief Clerk will read the committee chairman and memberships. Chief Clerk Ellen Thompson.
Judiciary, Senator Tara Nethercott, Chairman. Senators Ed Cooper, Tim French, John Kolb, and R.J. Cost, members. Appropriations, Senator Drew Perkins, Chairman. Senators Larry Hicks, Dave Kinski, Sherry Steinmetz, and Mike Garou, members. Revenue, Senator Cale Case, Chairman. Senators Fred Baldwin, Tom James, Stephen Pappas, and Wendy Schuler, members. Education, Senator Charles Scott, Chairman. Senators Affie Ellis, Bo Beitman, Tim Salazar, and Chris Rothfuss, members. Agriculture, State, Public Lands, and Water Resources, Senator Brian Boner, Chairman. Senators Anthony Bouchard, Tim French, R.J. Cost, and Jeff Wasserberger, members. Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, and Cultural Resources, Senator Affie Ellis, Chairman. Senators Bill Landon, Tim Salazar, Wendy Schuler, and Mike Garou, members. Corporations, Elections, and Political Subdivisions, Senator Ogden Driscoll, Chairman. Senators Brian Boner, Cale Case, Tara Nethercott, and Charles Scott, members. Transportation, Highways, and Military Affairs, Senator Bill Landon, Chairman. Senators Jim Anderson, Dan Furphy, Troy McEwen, and Stephen Pappas, members. Minerals, Business, and Economic Development, Senator James Anderson, Chairman. Senators Bo Beitman, Ed Cooper, Jeff Wasserberger, and Chris Rothfuss, members. Labor, Health, and Social Services, Senator Fred Baldwin, Chairman. Senators Anthony Bouchard, Dan Furphy, Lynn Hutchings, and Troy McEwen, members. Journal, Senator John Kolb, Chairman. Senator Mike Garou, member. Rules and Procedure, President Don Dockstetter, Chairman. Senators Ogden Driscoll, Larry Hicks, Chris Rothfuss, and Mike Garou, members.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. Due to the temporary absence of Senator Anderson, Senator Beitman will act as Chair of Minerals, Business, and Economic Development. There is no objection. The standing committees you have just heard will stand as read and be your committees for the Senate 66th Legislature of Wyoming. Mr. Floor Leader.
President, I move that the House of Representatives be informed that the Senate of the 66th Legislature of Wyoming is duly organized and ready to receive any communications they may desire to submit.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Chief Clerk, a moment. Any opposed? Chief Clerk, announce the vote.
It was unanimous.
Thank you. I'm directing the Chief Clerk to inform the House of Representatives that the Senate of the 66th Legislature of Wyoming is duly organized and ready to receive any communications they may desire to submit. Mr. Floor Leader.
Mr. President, I move to inform His Excellency the Governor, the Senate of the 66th Legislature of Wyoming is duly organized, ready to receive any communications he may desire to submit.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, raise your hand. And those opposed. Chief Clerk.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Motion carried. I am directing the Chief Clerk to inform His Excellency the Governor, the Senate of the 66th Legislature is duly organized and ready to receive any communications that he may desire to submit. This time the Senate will stand at ease for a short time while we inform the Governor that we need him. Thank you.